Port of Los Angeles is really a catalyst behind the program, and the Los Angeles Yacht Club is really honored to be able to host it. It allows kids from all over the country to compete, fellowship among other sailors, come out in an environment that is fairly unique. Head-to-head competition with 10 teams. The only event like it on the West Coast, and one of the few events in the nation.
Our organizing authority, Cal Maritime, actually picks the teams. They look at the team's records over the course of the prior year, and they try and pick 4 East Coast teams and 4 West Coast teams.
Today especially, it was just really light air, so not a whole lot of wind. So keeping focused and keeping ourselves hydrated and in a racing mood.
Just keeping our heads up and realizing that second place at this event is huge. It's a good honor.
This is a unique opportunity for the schools to come, sail in bigger boats, and get some exposure to ocean racing in the beautiful waters here right off of Point Fermin in San Pedro.
We're here at the William Grant Still Cultural Center, and this is the reception for the Willie Bobo Life and Sounds of Willie Bobo. And it's a great, great day and great exhibition. It brings back a lot of memories, seeing old friends, looking at a lot of old pictures. It's a great day in Los Angeles.
Our annual African American Composers Series this year in its 12th, and we are celebrating Willie Bobo. So the exhibition is called Spanish Grease, The Life and Sounds of Willie Bobo, and it was curated by myself along with his son, Eric Correa, who also goes by Eric Bobo.
And it's basically a celebration of the genius and work of my father, documented from photographs of the family that have never been seen outside of the house, and finally we have them up and sharing them with everyone. And you see family, you see the music, you see the influences, you see a different part of the man that probably a lot of people, they don't know or haven't seen.
My father was one of the innovators of Latin jazz, combining the both. Of course, we have the Spanish roots, the Latin roots, him being with Tito Puente and various Latin artists, to now incorporate that in jazz. And we say if it wasn't for Willie Bobo, there would be no Carlos Santana, there would be no War, there would be no El Chicano.
Go and listen to the music of Willie Bobo. You listen to the way that he helped shape the formation of like Latin music, Latin rock, Latin soul, even to today's reggaeton, things like that. You have a big influence with Willie Bobo.
And the William Grant Still Art Center is not letting COVID-19 get in the way of residents accessing this exhibit. The center will be doing updates on their Instagram and Facebook stories, continuing to share images and information from the life and sounds of Willie Bobo exhibit. Looking for some entertainment while you sequester safely at home? Well, the Los Angeles Public Library has a plethora of promising portals for you to explore. From ebooks to audiobooks to the daily newspaper, there's a ton of material and media available online. And we're going to tell you all about it up next on City Beat Extra.
Much like everything else in LA, the Central Library and 72 branch libraries are closed due to COVID-19. But there's plenty of online content and information you can still access with your library card. Here's a list of the library's most popular options. Are you a fan of Audible? Well, the library has you covered for free. Choose from the apps Overdrive and/or Libby to download the latest ebooks and audiobooks. With abridged and unabridged versions available, audiobooks may be a game changer if you're planning on cleaning your entire house, doing lots of cooking, or getting into some at-home workouts. Check out audiobooks on Overdrive and Libby. Without the stress of late fees, these electronic items are returned automatically. Now you can stream thousands of movies through the streaming platform Canopy. Enjoy critically acclaimed movies, inspiring documentaries, and award-winning foreign films. films found in Canopy also include Criterion Collection Classics, recent releases, festival picks, and more. Whatever your taste, you're sure to find something that's on your must-see list. Hoopla is a Los Angeles Public Library app that allows you to access free audiobooks, movies, music, and TV programs. Use this app to read comic books and ebooks as well. There's also plenty of content for kids so you can keep them occupied while the schools are closed. You can browse newspapers, magazines, and other educational materials using LAPL's research section. Use it to read old Los Angeles newspaper articles and so much more. There's a section on the history of cooking, a collection of more than 11,000 theater programs, a database of pop-up books, access to genealogy programs, and much more. Anything you want to research or learn about, it's probably here. Ever wanted to try your hand at learning Photoshop? Want to brush up on the advanced functions of Microsoft Excel? Well, the library has an awesome collection of tutorials waiting for you at lynda.com. An award-winning online learning site, lynda.com offers more than 3,000 courses taught by recognized industry experts and 150,000 video tutorials on business, technical, and creative skills. Courses are available at every level: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. But wait, say you live in the city of Los Angeles but don't have a library card. Good news! LA City residents can get immediate access to these digital collections without first having to visit a Los Angeles Public Library location. Visit lapl.org and search for e-card registration.
Fun fact, most silent movies were never actually silent. There was almost always music and sound effects and other sync sound elements that helped bring the moving pictures to life. And while many cinephiles would know that the silents were first accompanied by a live organist, how many of them can tell you what a photo player is? Intrigued? So were we. Look what we discovered.
That's a soul stirrer. Photo players came about in about 1911. We feel that the Van Valkenburg brothers of Oakland, California, who were both inventors, conceived the idea of creating mechanical music for silent film narration. These were used in the smaller houses that were, let's say, too small for a church organ. There were 4,500 manufactured between 1911 and 1926. And of that 4,500, only about 51 survive worldwide and 12 play. In September, it will be 103 and it's still playing. Yeah. What I look forward to, and unfortunately I can't be part of it because I'm out here in the lobby, is to have the audience hear a 103-year-old machine, 103-year-old sounds that they've probably never heard. And to get that reaction would be wonderful. But just knowing that it's happening in the other room is my just reward.
Free online yoga for teachers and students. Create a musical opus on Chrome Music Lab, or have a virtual night out at the Met. All this next on Virtual Things to Do.
While Los Angeles is keeping safer at home, the Metropolitan Opera Online hopes to brighten lives while their stages are dark. Each day, a different encore presentation from the company's Live in HD series is being made available for free, streaming on the Met website, with each performance available for a period of 23 hours. The schedule will include outstanding complete performances from the past 14 years of cinema transmissions, starring all of opera's greatest singers. The streams are also available through the Met Opera on-demand apps for Apple, Amazon, and Roku devices and Samsung Smart TV. To access them without logging in, click Browse and Preview in the apps for connected TVs. Ever want to dip your toe into the world of yoga? Well, that app is here. Down Dog Yoga offers yoga programs for high-intensity interval training that uses your own body weight to get your heart rate up and efficiently burn fat. Bar Yoga to get lean, fit, and toned with a new ballet-inspired workout. Or the 7-minute workout that engages every muscle in your body to improve strength, agility, and endurance. Basic yoga is free to all. Through July 1st, all yoga programs are free for teachers and students. Just sign up and get stretching. Visit downdogapp.com. Chrome Music Lab is a website that makes learning music more accessible through fun, hands-on experiments. Many teachers have been using Chrome Music Lab as a tool in their classrooms to explore music and its connections to science, math, art, and more. These tools make it easier for coders to build new interactive music experiences. You can get the open source code with lots of these experiments. Just open any experiment and start playing. Visit musiclab.chromeexperiments.com/experiments. And that's a look at some virtual things to do.
Here at Channel 35, we stay committed to bringing you the best information possible during the COVID-19 outbreak. Remember that you can sign up with Notify LA to receive emergency alerts. To sign up, just text your zip code to 888-777. You can also find reliable information about the resources available from the City of Los Angeles at these websites: publichealth.lacounty.gov, coronavirus.lacity.org, or at emergency.lacity.org. That's it for this edition. I'm Maria Hall Brown. From all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. See you next time for more LA This Week.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome to the Los Angeles City Council. Today is Tuesday, April 7th, and I am Nuri Martinez, the President of the City Council. With me in council chambers are essential staff only. As permitted under the Governor's Executive Order of March 17, all other council members are teleconferencing from remote locations. Also consistent with the Governor's order, and for the first time in the city's history, all public comment will be taken telephonically. I will announce the recess if we have any technical problems or we lose quorums of members. I've also called for a brief recess if we think we need a break. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Blumenfield.
Welcome to the Los Angeles City Council. Today is Tuesday, April 7th, and I am
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield present.
Bonin.
Bonin present.
Buscaino.
Buscaino present.
Cedillo. Cedillo.
Present.
Harris Dawson. Harris Dawson. Councilmember Harris Dawson.
Present.
Thank you. Weeser. Weeser.
Present.
Koretz.
Present.
Krikorian.
Here.
Lee. Martinez.
here.
O'Farrell.
Here.
Price.
Present.
Rodriguez. Rue.
Present.
Wesson.
Wesson here.
15 members present and a quorum, Madam President.
Okay, first order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Ms. Rodriguez moves and Mr. Buscaino seconds. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Wesson moves and Mr. Cedillo seconds. Next.
Madam President, today is Tuesday and time for the flag salute.
Everyone, can we all rise for the flag salute? O'Farrell?
Here.
Mr. O'Farrell, can you lead us in the flag salute, sir?
Yes, and it won't unmute me. Here we go. I'd be greatly honored. Thank you, Madam President. Please place your hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay, members, if I can direct you to the agenda for today's meeting. Madam Clerk, just go ahead and run through the agenda.
Madam President, there has been a request to continue item 1 to May 13th, item 5 to June 23, and item 17 to April 22. And would council like all items to go forthwith today?
Yeah, without objection, that will be the order. Next. Items 1 through 7 are items noticed for public hearing. Okay, let's go ahead and go through the agenda again. When your name is called, please state whether you want to call any of these items specials, items 1 through 7 that are before the council today. Go ahead.
Blumenfield.
No specials.
Bonin.
No specials on 1 through 7.
Buscaino.
No specials.
Cedillo. Mr. Cedillo. Mr. Cedillo, any specials on items 1 through 7?
Opposed. No specials. No specials.
Harris Dawson.
No specials.
Weezer.
No specials.
Koretz. Koretz. Any specials on items 1 through 7, Mr. Koretz? Krikorian.
No, thank you.
Lee.
Raise your hand.
No specials.
Martinez.
No specials.
O'Farrell.
No specials here.
Price.
No specials.
Rodriguez.
No specials.
Rue.
No specials.
Wesson.
Item 3.
And I have no special host muted me during the call.
Excuse me, Mr. Kritz, which item was that?
No, I said I have no specials. I just wanted to point out that I was muted and couldn't unmute myself by you guys during the call.
Thank you. Item 3 called special by Mr. Wesson.
Okay, let's prepare to vote on the remaining items except for item number 3 that was called special by Mr. Wesson.
Pardon me, Madam President, we'll hold these in the event there's public comment.
Okay, what's next then? Let's move on.
Items 8 through 21 are items for which public hearings have been held.
Okay, members, the clerk is going to go through the roll again. When you hear your name, please indicate whether you want to call items 8 through 21 special. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Blumenfield.
No special, thank you.
Bonin.
No specials, thank you.
Buscaino.
No specials.
Cedillo.
No, thank you.
Harris Dawson.
No specials for the balance of the agenda.
Weezer.
No specials.
Koretz.
No specials.
Krikorian.
No, thank you.
Lee.
No specials.
Martinez.
No specials.
O'Farrell.
No specials, thanks.
Price.
No specials.
Rodriguez. Rue.
No specials.
Wesson.
No, thank you.
No items called special, Madam President.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote on these items.
Council members, this is a vote on items 8 through 21. When I state your name, please say yes to vote to approve the items or say no to vote against them.
So let's go ahead and open the roll.
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Buscaino, aye.
Cedillo.
DOI.
Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Weezer.
Aye.
Koretz.
Aye.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Needs to be backwards. But
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Yeah.
Councilmember O'Farrell.
Yes.
Price.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Rue.
Aye.
Wesson.
Wesson, aye.
15 ayes. Adopted. Items 22 through 68 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, without objection, those items are now before us. Members, the clerk's going to run through the roll again. Please indicate whether you want to call any of the item specials between items 22 through 68. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Blumenfield,
No specials, thank you.
Bonin,
Item 36, please.
Buscaino,
No specials. Thank you.
Cedillo,
No, thank you.
Harris Dawson, Weezer,
67 for an amendment.
Koretz,
No specials.
Krikorian,
No, thank you.
Lee,
No.
Martinez,
None.
O'Farrell,
22, 40, and 43 for amending motions.
Price,
26 special.
22, 42.
26, and I need to recuse myself from item 30 when it's appropriate.
Mr. Price, I had a hard time hearing you. What item would you like to recuse yourself on?
Item 30
Got it. Thank you.
when appropriate.
Rodriguez,
32, 22, 42. It is
Rue,
Los Angeles Airport.
No specials.
Wesson,
No, thank you.
43.
22.
In summary, Madam President, items 36, 67, 22, 40, 43, 26, and 30 called special by members.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. We're now going to move on to the public comment. Madam Clerk, would you please read out the call-in information that was also provided on the agenda for this morning's meeting?
Thank you. As indicated on the agenda, members of the public wishing to offer public comment should call 669-900-6833 and use meeting ID number 459-499-150 and then press pound. Then press pound again when prompted for participant ID. Let me repeat that call, 669-900-6833 and use meeting ID number 459-499-150 and then press pound. Then press pound again when prompted for participant ID.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. City Attorney, would you please explain our speaking rules to members of the public that would like to speak this morning?
Thank you, Madam President. To members of the public calling in, when it is your turn to speak, please state which of the agenda items you would like to speak on. You have 1 minute per item to speak, up to 3 minutes total, and 1 minute for general public comment. We will tell you when your agenda item time is up and when you're moving on to general public comment. When speaking on the agenda items, you must be on topic. Our goal is to get through as many speakers as we can. If you're not speaking on topic, or if we cannot tell whether you are speaking on an agenda item, you will get one brief warning from me or the President. If you do not immediately and clearly get on topic or again stray off topic, the President will cut you off and you will forfeit the rest of your speaking time, and we will move to the next speaker. We're going to take a total of 40 minutes of public comment. Finally, for members of the public calling in to speak, if you're also listening to the council meeting on your computer or on a speakerphone, please turn down the volume on those devices or you'll start getting feedback and it'll be disruptive to the meeting. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Madam Clerk, there are members that have amendments to a few items before us this morning. So if we can ask the members to read their amendments on items before us before we take public comment. So members, please, do you have that list, Madam Clerk? Go ahead.
I do. Mr. Bonin on item 36.
Thank you. On item 36, it wasn't an amendment. On item 36, that's an alley vacation in my district, and I wanted to recommend a no vote on that one.
On items, Mr. Weezer, on item 67.
Can you tell them that I can't unmute myself?
We can hear you, Mr. Weezer.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. On item 67, I would like to make the following amendment. On the first moving clause to remove Aliso Pico Park, $58,000, and change the total amount of AB 1290 funds being transferred from $1,374,760 to $1,316,760, and have the remaining of those items on that moving clause as stated.
And a second for that amendment?
I will second that for Mr. Weezer.
Thank you. That takes us to Mr. O'Farrell, beginning with item 22.
Thank you. Item 22, I ask that item 22 be amended to adopt the following additional recommendation. Instruct the Department of Recreation and Parks to report on available staffing and any other needs to provide this service after the emergency order is lifted.
And on item number 40?
Item number 40, I ask that it be amended to adopt revised recommendation 1 below in lieu of recommendation 1 on the agenda. And recommendation 1 below is receive and file the March 10th, 2020 HCID LA report and the attached resolution.
Thank you. And on item 43?
Item 43, I ask that it be amended to adopt revised recommendation 1 below in lieu of recommendation 1 on the agenda. And revised recommendation 1 below says, receive and file the March 10th, 2020 HCID LA report and the attached resolution.
Thank you. And a seconder for those 3 amendments? And for the record, Ms. Martinez has seconded all 3 of those. Moving to Mr. Price, item 26. That concludes then all the amendments that were called by members.
Okay, let's go ahead and start.
I don't have any amendments. I just want to speak on this matter when it comes up.
Yeah, we got that. Sorry for the misunderstanding, Mr. Price. I will call on you when item number 26 comes up.
Thank you.
So members, we're going to start the public comment portion of our meeting. If you can please state your name, the items you wish to speak on, and whether you want to speak on general public comment. We will open public comment for 40 minutes. Caller, are you there? Caller, are you there? Members and members of the public, we're having some technical issues with the public comment. Give us just a second. Speaker, are you there? Hello? Speaker, are you there? Good morning. Okay, next speaker.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, are you there? Good morning.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can't hear you. Can you state
Hello?
your name? Yes. Can you state your name, the
Hello?
items you want to speak on, and whether
Hello,
you want to
can you hear
speak
me?
in general public comment? Hello? Speaker, are you there?
Hello?
Yes. What is your name?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. What is your name? Speaker, are you there? Okay, next speaker. Speaker, are you there? Speaker, are you there? Speaker, are you there?
Yeah.
Good morning. What is your name and what items would you like to speak on?
I'm sorry, that was kind of muffled. Could you repeat that?
What is your name and what items would you like to speak on today's agenda, and whether you want to speak in general public comment as well?
Okay, I got most of that. My name is Kevin Grossman, and I wanted to speak on rent and mortgage freezes, eviction moratorium, that sort of stuff. That's
Okay,
what I
then
wanted to speak on. I have a prepared thing to say.
Okay, so then you're just speaking in general public comment, so you have 1 minute.
I have 1 minute, you said?
Yes, you're not going to speak on any items, is that correct?
Sorry, say that again?
You're not speaking on any of the items before us today. You just want to speak in general public comment.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I wasn't completely aware of what was on the schedule, so yeah.
There's
I guess
68 items on today's agenda. You don't want to speak on any of those?
Is it possible I could be told what those items were?
No, sir, I'm sorry. They're online. You can look up our
Oh, I
agenda.
see.
So do you want me to just give you your 1 minute of general public comment so you can make your comment?
Okay, I'll just say a general comment.
All right, thank you. You have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to take the opportunity. I want to contribute my voice to the rest of the citizens of LA and renters. I think we need a eviction moratorium, a full one, and a rent mortgage freeze immediately. Landlords are being paid to rent, are used to being paid to rent every month from tenants based on a wealthy economy and prime real estate. Unfortunately, that's not the city we're in presently right now. So the pandemic has created, hello? Okay.
We're here. We're listening to you. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. The pandemic has created mass employment, with many struggling to buy even just basic necessities like food and medical supplies. Asking for rent without at least a reduction is beyond irresponsible. It's inhumane. If this city and its landlords expect to have tenants left in the aftermath of this crisis after asking for continued payment of regular rental rates, they are clearly not living in reality. We need to assist people financially as much as possible through this crisis.
All right,
and
sir.
keep more
Thank
people
you.
from ending up in the streets.
Thank you so much. Next
Okay.
speaker. Speaker, are you there? Speaker, are you there? Okay, next speaker. Speaker, are you there?
Hey.
Yes, good morning. What is your name? Hello,
General public comment.
Your general public comment? Very well, you have 1 minute. And what is your name,
Yes.
sir?
Understood.
Your name?
Hello, my name is Jacob Howdige, and on behalf of the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, we appreciate the leadership of the City Council in this time of crisis and the work you have done to respond to the city's most pressing matters. We ask that you consider the long-term economic impact and implications of any ordinances that are proposed or voted on. The impact on our businesses has been catastrophic. Without additional assistance and aid, we will lose many of our small businesses. We hope to continue working with you and our fellow business organizations to sustain jobs for our workforce. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker. Speaker, are you there? Speaker, are you there? Okay, next speaker. Speaker, are you there? Speaker, are you there? Members of the public, we're having more technical issues. Please bear with us. Give us just a second. Speaker, are you there? Speaker, are you there? Next speaker. Speaker, are you there? Speaker, are you there?
This is Elena Pop.
Good morning.
Members of the public, we're having more. This is Elena Pop. Can you hear me?
Speaker, are you there?
Hello. Yes, this is Elena Pop. I am the executive director of the Eviction Defense Network.
Would you like
I'm
to speak?
urging you to pass an
Elena,
actual
hold on for just a
moratorium.
Elena, hold on for just a second. Do you want
I
to speak?
support the Healthy Homes, Healthy LA platform. The Judicial Council rule change does not protect tenants because it does not provide an actual defense to an eviction. As currently written, your orders are encouraging harassment, and I refer you to the LA Times article of Sunday 4/5. Angelinas that are most vulnerable are not going to be able to take advantage of the protections that you have written because they will not be able to provide documentation. And I also will point out that we are seeing an increase in illegal eviction actions, that is, landlords tearing down walls and knocking down doors to get tenants out illegally and shutting off the utilities. And it is essential that you contact the police chief and ask him to enforce Penal Code Section 418. Lastly, the definitions of who is bound by your orders are unclear, and master tenant, roommates, owners of single-family homes that have borders, sober living facilities, owners of mobile homes are violating your orders, saying that they are not bound. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Speaker, are you there?
Hello?
Hello. What is your name, and do you want to speak on any of the items before us today, or just general public comment?
Hello?
Good morning. Did you want to speak on any of the items before us today, or did you want to speak in general public comment? Caller, are you there? Okay, next speaker.
Hello?
Hello. Next speaker.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. What is your name, and what items would you like to speak on?
My name is Tom. I live in District 1, and I would like to give general public comment.
Okay, you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
In response to this unprecedented pandemic crisis, we need a full moratorium on evictions for any reason. If someone is evicted for any reason during or shortly after this crisis, they will automatically become homeless. There is simply no other result of such an action. Since you are a body made up of mostly landlords, you are biased in this matter. But let me try to help you unbias yourselves. This is going to sound elementary, but given what I saw in last week's council meeting, you are operating with an elementary level of understanding on this issue. Most Angelinos, your constituents for whom you work, are renters. Most of your constituents go out and work every day for some form of payment. They also depend on a network of childcare, elder care, and other services to allow them to go to that job. All of those systems are in upheaval and will remain that way for the foreseeable future. Thus, millions of your constituents must live outside their normal routines and may be in breach of their lease. They may or not be able to prove to a landlord that this is a direct result of the pandemic. While you and your other landlord friends may be understanding of this fact, most landlords are not.
All right,
most
thank you.
landlords will
Thank
use
you very
any
much.
and every
Your time is up.
opportunity to
Thank
evict
you.
a tenant or extract
Thank
more
you.
money from them. Most landlords will
Thank
not
you.
avail.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. And other services.
Members, it appears that there might be a technical issue with our audio. Some of our folks that are waiting to speak under public comment cannot hear us. Can we just make sure that our audio is... Speaker, can you hear me? Speaker, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good morning. What is your name and what items would you like to speak on?
General comment?
General public
Hassan?
comment. You have 1 minute. What is your name?
My name is Hassan.
Go ahead.
I'd like to urge, I'm also, hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. You have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Hassan. I'm an organizer at 8. I would like to urge the council members to pass a true eviction and foreclosure mortgage, require banks doing business with the city of these type mortgage pensions to rent forgiveness. 3, which is the most important, bring back measurements to council to protect unhoused public people and ensure workers are rehired when the health emergency ends, and start holding regular meetings again. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Speaker, are you there? Speaker, are you there?
Council President.
Good morning. What is your name? What items would you like to speak on?
Yes, Council President. My name is Zachary Worma, and I'd like to speak on docket items 34 and 54.
34 and item 34 and 54?
54. Yes.
All right. You have 2 minutes, 1 minute for each item.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Council President and Council members. My name is Zachary Worma, and I am the Public Affairs Specialist for Downtown Women's Center. On behalf of our entire organization, as well as the 5,400 women Downtown Women's Center provides services to each year, I ask for your support on the approval of the $350,000 funding request for the continued operation of DWC's Bridge Housing Program through June 30th, 2021. To meet the evolving needs of women experiencing homelessness in Los Angeles, DWC opened a Bridge Housing Program in August 2019, providing beds, meals, and additional services for 25 women, many of whom were sleeping on the sidewalks next to our San Pedro Street headquarters prior to entering the program. Bridge Housing helps individuals transition to longer-term housing, and many women are now on a path to permanent stability. DWC is also providing participants with employment and case management services to ensure that the totality of participants' needs are being met. In approving this funding request, the City Council will be ensuring that dozens of women will have a single, stable roof over their heads and are on a path out of homelessness. Our present crisis has thrown in ever sharper relief the extraordinary vulnerability of the 27,000 of our fellow Angelenos in the city who are currently unhoused, who at this moment are making their homes in places not meant for human habitation. We thank you all for your support today, and in particular, Council members Huizar and Rodriguez for authoring these motions, and Downtown Women's Center looks forward to continue working with this council to help end homelessness for every woman, every man, and every family in this city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Next speaker, are you there? Speaker, are you there? Speaker, are you there? Next speaker. Speaker, are you there? Speaker, are you there? Next speaker. Next speaker. Speaker, are you there?
So you'll make that announcement because we're going to request to receive and file. Okay.
Speaker, are you there?
And then when we're done with public comment, you're going to take them in chunks, right? Or how are you going to do it?
Next speaker.
Yeah, hi, Nuri. It's Daniel Gus from City Watch LA. I'd like to speak on item 52 and can you hear me okay?
Yeah, what items do you want to speak on?
Okay, you're very echoey, so I'm just going to go ahead. Item 52 and general public comment. Only because you're echoey, I'm going to just start.
Go ahead.
Item 52 is a great idea. Item 52 is a great idea. The problem is that you should have them offering more services to the community because the more services that your vendor provides, the less likely it is that those animals will be coming back into the shelter in your Van Nuys. Also, Animal Services has been sued for seizing 17 animals from LA Animal Services that were healthy and ready to be adopted. And in the 3 months they've been languishing in your system, no charges have been filed, and they're basically rotting away in your system. they should be released. The city's being sued, and that's going to cost a lot of money and bad PR. Now, general public comment. I have a new column in City Watch today. With all due respect, it's titled "How Nuri Martinez Fails LA in Deadly Global Environment." You folks should be embarrassed. You folks should be embarrassed that you're you folks should be embarrassed that you're voting on liquor licenses, on property liens, when all of this stuff is going on. Anything that doesn't have to do with the coronavirus should be set aside. These liquor licenses don't have an act-by date less than 2 months away. You should be putting everything aside. It's an embarrassment to vote on liquor licenses and property liens when we are about to face all this death and destruction that you're constantly telling us that we're facing. In the meanwhile, let those animals free, man. They're rotting in your shelters. Thank you. Have a nice day, and thanks for running the meeting in this crisis.
Okay, next speaker. Speaker, are you there? Next speaker, are you there? Next speaker, are you there?
Hello?
Hello? What is your
Hello,
name?
yes. Yes, I want to give a general public comment.
General public comment? Okay, you have 1 minute. Go ahead. What is your name?
Great. Good morning. My name is Carmina. I live in CD1, but also work in CD14. I just wanted to call to plea to City Council to enact stronger protections for our community in response to COVID-19 and to support a comprehensive and true eviction and foreclosure moratorium and require banks doing business with the city to tie mortgage suspension to rent forgiveness. I'm currently working from home on reduced hours, but I've been notified there may be layoffs at my job. And I know I have access to some resources, but I also work with people that won't have access to said resources. And folks shouldn't be having to choose between food or rent during a pandemic. Please support your constituents in helping them feel safer at home. And I also urge you to meet about this again before the council goes on recess. The people cannot wait. They need to know that they're protected. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Speaker, are you there? Speaker, are you there? Hello?
Hello?
Hey, can you turn off your device? I think you have the... Do you have your TV on? I can barely hear you.
Hello?
Hello, can you state your name, what items you want to speak on?
I just wanted to make a comment, this is like COVID-19 and I've been a little bit laid off from my work and I've been unable to complete my payments for my rent since I'm saving up for food and stuff like that. And these are coming months. I'm still seeing a shortage in my work, so I really don't know how I'm going to do it. So I was just kind of advocating to kind of like get to the people that have the power to kind of like or to make certain laws happen or certain things to help individuals in my circumstance.
Okay, thank you very much. Next speaker.
This is like COVID-19 and I've been a little bit laid off from my work.
Hello.
I've been able to complete my payment for my rent since I'm saving up for food and stuff like that. And these are coming months. I'm still seeing a shortage in my work, so I really don't know how I'm going to do it. So I was just kind of advocating to kind of like get the people that...
Hello, speaker, are you there?
Hi, for all of the speakers, please turn down the volume on the devices you're listening to the council meeting on. You're getting a time lag.
Speaker, are you there?
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes. Hello?
Next speaker.
Hello?
Yes, are you there?
Hello?
Again,
Can you turn off your background noise because we can't hear you?
So for all of the people dialing in to speak, please turn down the volumes on the devices on which you're listening to the council meeting. You're getting a time lag.
Speaker, are you there? Speaker, are you there? Next speaker. Speaker, are you there?
Hello.
Hello. What is your name and what items would you like to speak on?
Hello, my name is Moises Lemus. I'm from District 1 in Westlake MacArthur Park.
What items would you like to speak on?
I'm calling to speak on the item which is about rent. I don't know the specific name of the, or number of the item, but I know it's about rent in Los Angeles.
Okay, then it's general public comment, so you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Moises, and I'm from LA Sunrise, and I'm also from Progressive Students of LACC. And as a student at LACC, it's very important that y'all pass a rent freeze, a rent moratorium, and rent forgiveness and rent cancellation, because a lot of students are left out of the federal package, the federal stimulus package that gives money to adults, but it doesn't give money to a lot of the students. So think of all of the students that go to LACCD. All of those students aren't gonna have any money. A lot of those students also don't have any work. So we're left at home to do what? And that's one of the reasons. There are many reasons. Additionally, a lot of the students are Hispanic, and a lot of the parents don't have any income also, because their parents or a lot of undocumented people in LA also are left out of the stimulus package. So that's why it's also another reason why it's important that y'all don't go on recess and y'all actually stay and pass these laws that help people, because if not, then we're going to organize.
Next speaker. Speaker, are you there? Speaker, are you there? Speaker, good morning. What is your name?
Hi, my name is Soledad Ursula, and I have a general public comment.
Okay, go ahead. You have 1 minute.
Hi, my name is Soledad Ursula. I am a small landlord. I own a triplex in Venice Beach. Due to this crisis, I now have 2 unpaying tenants, and I'm in a position where I need to carry the triplex on my own. I won't be able to pay my mortgage and especially my taxes for the next few months on my own. I'm asking that the city work with the state and county to delay the property tax deadline and to take the amount that I would owe on April 10th and put it on a 6 to 12 month payment plan. I'm not asking for any sort of property tax forgiveness. I'm just asking for a payment plan so that I can continue to carry this building and keep this. Otherwise, we're looking at 3 separate households becoming homeless. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Speaker, are you there? Speaker, are you there?
I think I'm talking.
Speaker, if you can hear me, please turn off the device behind. We're getting a lot of feedback. Speaker, I need you to turn down the volume on your device. Speaker, are you there? Okay, next speaker. Speaker, are you there?
Thank you.
Hello?
Hello, good morning. What is your name?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. What is your name? What items do you want to
Greetings.
speak on?
Speaker, are you there?
Yes. It's Eric Previn. Hello?
What items do you want to speak on?
Yes, it's Eric Previn. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Previn, I can hear you. I need you to turn down the volume. If you're watching us on your computer or on TV, I can hear the feedback. Thank you. Go ahead and tell me what items you want to speak on.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What items do you want to speak on?
Okay, I'd like to speak on item number 37, the liquor license items, which are the early numbers. Item 42, which is the the firm Sohagi Law Firm, and several other items that are in the permissible section. But let's move forward.
Go ahead and you've got 3 minutes for all your items and your general public comment.
Okay, so I'll finish with the general public comment.
Go ahead.
So for starters, thank you for attempting to have a meeting. I think it's important to ensure that the public and renters and everybody in our community is aware of what's happening with the city council and the moves that we're trying to make to improve the situation. And, you know, I don't know why liquor licenses have become prioritized in any way. I suppose they were in the system. This becomes a puzzler for folks as we try to move forward towards, you know, a dangerous situation where we have little places opening up all over the place to put booze on the table. But shifting to item number 37, which is AT&T, who are treasured partners of the city and the state. They're, as we all know, almost monopolistic-like telephone company and providing internet service. And here's a contract that we're more or less piggybacking on a state pricing at LAWA, Los Angeles Airport, for 911 services. And whenever the public skips competitive bidding, we get screwed. And we might parenthetically ask AT&T to help sort out these lag issues on these public meetings, because to be honest, they're getting a lot of money. And when I glanced at it quickly, they have several other big contracts, including the $30 million deal that they signed in 2015 and then slathered contributions in the form of behested payments to Mayor Garcetti and others. It's just, it kind of blanches the typical resident's mustache given all of the needs we do have, and it's going to be worse now that coronavirus has come, that we spend so much you know, money bending over backwards for AT&T. We gave them a giant credit on a sort of a refund where my head almost popped off at $590,000 back to AT&T for something that they had tried to adjudicate twice with us and lost, yet still Krikorian found a way to cut them a deal. You know, let's move on to item number 42, which is the CEQA panel firm Sohagi that looks after a bunch of airport CEQA stuff. Here, the city, again, veered off course by putting together a panel of CEQA attorneys to help the city in its interests fight against mostly community groups who are being screwed by landlords. So it's very, very unsettling that this firm and other firms were put together in a kind of a distortion of what the city attorney and the city's role is, because they became advocates for their own position as opposed to the arbiter of what the laws are, which is why we see those difficulties. Jumping quickly to my general public comment, I think we should improve the way we're doing these meetings so that maybe the way to do it would be to have the central command, so to speak, the council president, call from a list people so that they can be, you know, brought into the meeting as, you know, you would expect, because this is very disjointed and very difficult. Like, for example, right now I have no idea if anybody is there on the other end. I assume everybody is wrapped with attention, but probably not. Anyway, that's the other thing I would suggest is creating a spot where individuals can provide commentary along the side of the dialogue, so that, like, when the mayor gives a speech, you have Facebook people posting comments. That might be helpful for people who are listening and want to hear comments from other members of the public. And with that, all things will pass, and I look forward to a time when we can all be together, you know, in such a way that it's safe and, you know, do the right thing, stay around your own home.
Thank you, Mr. Previn. We're moving on to the next speaker. Next speaker, are you there?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. What items would you like to speak on?
Okay, so my name is Lorena Requejado. I'm calling in regards to item number 1 on a property.
Okay. That's the only item you want to speak on?
I just wanted to call and inform you guys and let you know that the property is in escrow, and it's going to be closing escrow at the end of the month. I don't know if you guys needed to know that. The property address is 11244 North Cometa Avenue. We have a pending lien on it, and a pending lien was recorded on it, so we're aware of the lien, and it's going to be paid at the close of escrow. So I just wanted to inform you guys.
You're the property owner, ma'am?
I'm sorry?
Are you the property owner?
I'm not the homeowner, no. I'm the listing agent.
Okay, what item, what address is it?
I'm
Can
sorry?
I need you to repeat the address for me, please.
There's a lot of feedback. I can't really hear what you're saying.
Can you repeat the address of the property you're speaking on?
I cannot hear anything. I'm so sorry. Yes, thank you. 11244 North Cometa Avenue.
That is item 1H. And it,
Okay, ma'am, if you can hear me, this item has been continued for 30 days.
I cannot hear anything. I heard the other person that spoke, but. Okay, all right, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, we'll do one more speaker and then I will close public comment. Speaker, are you there?
Hello.
Good morning. What is your name? What items would you like to speak on?
My name is Brad Sagal. I'd like to comment on items 22, 54, 56, and general public comment.
Okay, you're going to have 3 minutes for all your items and then 1 minute for your general public comment. Go ahead, sir.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm going forward. Item 22, Echo Park bathrooms. The proposal is to keep the Echo Park bathrooms open for later hours so that people can utilize them to wash their hands, as we've all been instructed to do, and obviously to go to the bathroom. I grew up here in the city of LA, and I've seen how in the city of LA it's become harder and harder if you're just out and about to find a place to go to the bathroom, wash your hands. Especially now we've been instructed, wash your hands. So I support item number 22. I should also mention I'm part of the Healthy LA Coalition, and that is one of the things we've been fighting for. You can't tell people to wash their hands and then not make it impossible for them to wash their hands. 54, item 54, this is a bridge housing initiative. I have mixed feelings on bridge housing. It's better than nothing, certainly. What people in the general public might not realize is that there's a joke that bridge housing is a bridge to nowhere, because often it's just a short-term housing for people who've been on the street and then they're expected to go and find a long-term apartment. How are you going to do that if you don't have a resume, if your job history has big gaps in it? I mean, it's hard enough to survive in this city even if you have like an advanced degree. If you're living on the streets, maybe you had some different issues. I'm guessing that it's going to be pretty hard for you to find a permanent place to live. So it's a complicated system. The solution is right in front of us, and they finally admitted it basically when this crisis happened. The solution is put people into any vacant home, motel, hotel. You know, if it's an emergency, treat it like an emergency. And that's what Healthy LA is calling for. Item 56, moving to 56. This regards Measure Triple H funding. I can't hear anything you're saying. I can't hear anything you're saying. I'm going to move forward. I can't hear a single thing you're saying. I'm moving forward. Triple H, that was a scam. We put a bunch of money, our tax money, into Triple H to build housing. Like I said, the solution was right in front of our nose. I can't hear anything you're saying. The solution was right in front of our nose. Put people into hotels, motels, vacant housing. If it's a crisis, treat it like a crisis. Housing is a human right. That's been recognized. We recognize in the UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights, housing is a human right. It's time for cities to recognize that it's an emergency. Use emergency measures, put people into vacant housing. We paid all this money for Triple H. We ain't seen nothing. It's a scam and it's a joke. Okay, general comments. As I mentioned earlier, I'm part of the Healthy LA Coalition. We're calling for full rent forgiveness, no games, universal rent forgiveness. No games, no jokes, no exceptions. Too many exceptions. The law as it is now requires me to prove to my landlord or to a court or to someone that I'm poor enough to deserve this relief. But the landlord doesn't have to prove that he's poor enough to need my rent. What's up with that? Why is it that we hear so much about small business and small mom and pop landlords, and the majority of the people in the city are tenants? This is a democracy, or it's supposed to be. Which are there more of, tenants or landlords? If your landlord was after you for rent in a pandemic, would you feel like he was your mom and pop? I don't want to hear that term mom and pop landlord anymore. That's a joke. Housing is a human right. We need it. We have it available. Our society is capable of producing housing. Let us live and leave us alone. HealthyLA.org. We are organized. We are the strongest coalition.
Okay, thank you very much. That concludes public comment for all items, including general public comment. So I'm going to go ahead and close that, Madam Clerk. Members, I'm going to go ahead and recess for 15 minutes. We're going to go into a 15-minute recess. Thank you.
2-minute warning. Members, this is a 2-minute warning. Let me check. Members, we will now come back from recess and take an official roll call.
Okay, members, we're back. I'm going to ask the city clerk to please take a quick roll call. Go ahead, Madam City.
Blumenfield.
The 1.4 million for the projects, we're going to go ahead and add.
Blumenfield present.
Bonin.
So we'll add
Bonin present.
3 projects, I guess.
Buscaino.
Buscaino here.
Cedillo.
Cedillo here.
Harris Dawson.
Probably that was a Montana and Alessandro. One of them.
Okay.
The other one. Forget.
Yeah.
If there are any departments on this meeting, I need you to mute yourselves because we can hear all the feedback. Any departments listening to this meeting? Please mute your computer. Thank you. Please continue, Madam Clerk.
Harris Dawson. Harris Dawson.
Here.
Weezer.
Here.
Koretz.
Here.
Krikorian.
Here.
Lee.
Present.
Martinez.
Here.
O'Farrell.
Here.
Price.
Present.
Rodriguez. Rodriguez.
Here.
Rue.
Here.
Wesson.
Wesson here.
15 members present, Madam President, quorum.
Okay, thank you. Members, let's go ahead and vote on some items. Before us, let's go ahead and vote on items 22, 40, 43, and 67 as amended. Okay, Madam Clerk, let's go ahead and open the roll.
And before we do, Madam President, for clarification, item 54 is a receive and file, and item 58, there is a corrected DWP report on file.
Correct. So let's go ahead and vote on these items as amended.
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Buscaino, aye.
Cedillo. Cedillo.
Cedillo.
Mr.
Cedillo, aye.
Harris Dawson.
Yes. No, but she wouldn't let me get out.
No, we'll wait.
Harris Dawson. Mr. Harris Dawson on items 22, 40, 43, and 67.
Okay, so
Members, can you please mute yourself? We're listening to all your feedback. I need you to hit mute on your computer. Thank you.
I think I had Montana in the
Mr. Weezer.
file that we sent.
Yes.
Koretz.
Yes.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Rue.
Yes.
Wesson.
Wesson, aye.
15 ayes. These items pass as amended.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Bonin, item number 36, would you like to speak on this item or would you wish for us to take a vote?
Thank you, Madam President. Just very briefly, this is a request from a property owner for Bureau of Engineering to do an alley vacation in my district. There seems to be no good reason to give away the public land to the property owner whose request is simply to increase their lot area. It's a contiguous alleyway from Santa Monica Boulevard to Idaho in West LA. So on this one, I'm recommending a no vote.
Okay, very well. Mr. Bonin is recommending a no vote on item 36. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, no.
Bonin.
Bonin, no.
Buscaino.
Buscaino, no.
Cedillo.
Cedillo, no.
Harris Dawson.
Harris Dawson, no.
Weezer.
No.
Koretz.
Make sure you mute the computer.
No.
Krikorian.
No.
Lee.
No.
Martinez.
No.
O'Farrell.
No.
Price.
No.
Rodriguez.
No.
Rue.
No.
Wesson. Wesson.
Yeah, Wesson, no.
Thank you. 0 ayes and 15 noes. This item fails.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move on to item number 30. Mr. Price is asked to recuse himself on item number 30, so we can take him off the queue. Okay, let's move on to item number 30.
Blumenfield.
In the construction costs, maybe it's
Aye.
better.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Buscaino, aye.
Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Harris Dawson. Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Weezer.
Yes.
Koretz.
Yes.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price recused. Rodriguez. Rue.
Yes.
Wesson.
Wesson, aye.
14 ayes. This item passes.
Okay, can we please put Mr. Price back on the board? So members, we're going to be voting on the remaining items in sections, and I'm going to ask the clerk to call the roll on items. We're voting on items 23 through 29 first. Go ahead and call the roll.
Thank you. Items 23 to 29. Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Buscaino, aye.
Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Harris Dawson.
Harris Dawson, yes.
Weezer.
Aye.
Koretz.
Aye.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price. Price. Price.
What are we doing? Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Rue.
Yes.
Wesson.
Wesson, aye.
15 ayes. This item passes.
Okay, let's move on to the next section. Let's vote on items 31 through 35. Go ahead and call the roll.
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Buscaino, aye.
Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Harris Dawson.
Harris Dawson, yes.
Koretz.
Koretz, aye.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Rue.
Yes.
Wesson. Wesson.
Wesson, aye.
15 ayes. This item passes.
Wesson, aye.
15 ayes. These items pass. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to the next section. Items 37 through 39. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Buscaino, aye.
Cedillo. Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Weezer.
Yes.
Koretz.
Aye.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Rodriguez. Rue.
Yes.
Wesson.
Wesson, aye.
15 ayes. These matters are adopted.
Okay, let's move on to items 41 and 42. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Confirm this is for items 41 and 42?
Yes.
Aye.
Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Harris Dawson.
Harris Dawson, yes.
Weezer. Weezer.
Yes.
Koretz.
Aye.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Lee. Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Rue.
Yes.
Wesson.
Wesson, aye.
15 ayes. These matters are adopted.
Okay, let's move on to the next section. Let's vote on items 44 through 66. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Buscaino, aye.
Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Harris Dawson.
Harris Dawson, yes.
Weezer.
Yes.
Koretz.
Yes.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Rodriguez. Rodriguez.
Aye.
Rue.
Aye.
Wesson.
Wesson, aye.
15 ayes. These items are adopted.
Okay, let's move on to the last item. Item 68, call the roll.
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Buscaino, aye.
Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Harris Dawson.
Harris Dawson, yes.
Weezer.
Yes.
Koretz.
Yes.
Aye.
Lee. Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Rue.
Aye.
Wesson.
Wesson, aye.
15 ayes. This matter is adopted.
Okay, Madam Clerk, what's before us now?
Item 3 called special by Councilmember Wesson.
Mr. Wesson?
Yeah, I move that we grant the application.
And a seconder?
I'll second that. Go ahead and call the roll.
Blumenfield. Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
On item number 3, we're calling the roll. Mr. Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Buscaino, aye.
Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Harris Dawson.
Harris Dawson, yes.
Weezer.
Yes.
Koretz.
Aye.
Kerkorian.
Aye.
Lee. Lee. Mr. Lee on item 3.
Yes.
Martinez.
I can't unmute myself.
Yes.
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price. Price.
Aye.
Rodriguez. Rodriguez. On item 3, Ms. Rodriguez.
Aye.
Rue.
Yes.
Wesson.
Wesson, aye.
15 ayes. This motion is adopted.
Okay, Madam Clerk, what's next? What's before us? Next item?
Item 4, a motion is required for item 4.
Mr. O'Farrell?
Yes, Madam President. I'd like to approve the item to grant this application. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go ahead and second that. Let's go ahead and call the roll on item number 4.
And Madam President, if you'd like, in this section, we could vote on item 4, item 2, 6, and 7.
Objection, let's go ahead and do that.
Mr. Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Buscaino, yes.
Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Harris Dawson.
Harris Dawson, yes.
Weezer.
Yes.
Koretz.
Yes.
Koretz.
Yes.
Kerkorian.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Rue. Mr. Rue.
Aye.
Wesson.
Wesson, aye.
15 ayes. These items are adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Members, we're going to have to take another recess to allow the clerk to organize all the verbal motions that came in ahead of time. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's say about 20 minutes. Is that enough? Let's take a 20-minute recess to get allow our city clerk to organize all the verbal motions that have come in ahead of time. Thank you. Okay, members, we're back in session. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield present.
Bonin.
Bonin is here.
Buscaino.
Buscaino is here.
Cedillo.
Cedillo here.
Harris Dawson.
Present.
Weezer.
Here.
Koretz.
Brett's here.
Krikorian. Krikorian.
Sorry, here.
Lee.
Present.
Martinez.
Present.
O'Farrell.
Here.
Price.
Here.
Rodriguez.
Here.
Rue.
Here.
Wesson.
Wesson here.
50 members present and a quorum, Madam President.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Members, we have 3 specials before us. We're going to go ahead and take up special 1 first. This is Mr. Bonin. Did you want to make your verbal motion and then your findings and vote on the findings first? Go ahead, sir.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. Would you like me to read the entire motion?
This is the city attorney. Would you read the moving clause, please, Mr. Bonin, or clauses?
Yeah, the finding part or the, well, yeah, okay. So the moving clause here, colleagues, this is a motion regarding a building that you've probably read about a lot in the Los Angeles Times or seen on television, the Ellison Apartments in Venice. The city attorney is filed suit against them for operating an illegal hotel. Over the weekend, it became abundantly clear that tenants in the building, the long-term tenants, the remaining 12 units, are suffering continued exposure to people who are partying and are not abiding by social distancing requirements. Some of the tenants, they're elderly and suffering from pre-existing conditions. So what this motion seeks to do is, as we discovered over the weekend can be done, ask the city attorney to apply ex parte to the court for emergency relief and for an emergency hearing instead of waiting an additional month. So what the moving clauses are here, I therefore move that the City Council instruct the Office of City Attorney to immediately begin issuing ACE citations for violations of the property, and further move that the City Council instruct the Office of the City Attorney to immediately make ex parte application to the court for emergency relief and seek imposition of an immediate temporary injunction preventing further short-term rental bookings at the property.
Thank you, Mr. Bonin. May I make one suggestion? The city attorney's office doesn't actually issue these ACE citations. It's HCID. So if possible, I recommend that you alter your motion to request HCID to issue the ACE citations.
I would love to take your advice on that, Mr. City Attorney. Thank you.
And I guess we'll need a second for the alteration.
I'll go ahead and second that.
Thank you.
Okay, can we go ahead now and vote on the findings?
Blumenfield.
So this is just.
Aye.
This is right. Yeah.
For clarification, this is on the findings for special 1. Bonin.
Aye.
Buscaino.
Aye.
Cedillo.
Aye.
Harris Dawson. Aye. Weezer.
Aye.
Koretz.
Aye.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Rodriguez. Aye. Rue.
Yes.
Wesson.
Wesson, aye.
15 ayes. The findings are adopted.
Okay, members, let's move on to special 2.
Oh, we need to vote on the actual motion, Madam Chair.
No, not right now. We're going to vote. We're going to have to take public comment, so I want to go through all the three specials, take public comment, and then vote on all 3 if we vote on the findings for all 3. So the findings, we've got a unanimous vote on the findings, so we're just going to hold the vote for that, take public comment. Let's move on to special 2. Is this Mr. Blumenfield?
Yes. Councilmember Blumenfield and seconded by Councilmember Price.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote on the findings. Mr. Blumenfield, would you like to speak on item special 2?
Okay, yes, I couldn't unmute there, so you can hear me now. Just to explain what this is, last week I did a Rule 23 to divert funds from our microloan assistance program, providing assistance to small businesses, on the theory that even if a 0.5% difference, if we could make that on our federal SBA loans, that could mean more than $1 billion of funds for our small businesses here in Los Angeles, essentially making our microloan program penny wise and pound foolish in terms of where our money should be going. However, over the weekend, and that's why this is a Rule 23 urgency, EWDD explained that their micro program is targeted to businesses that may be ineligible for the FDA or for the federal SBA loans. And they want to plan to coordinate with the chambers and others on the technical assistance plan. They further figured out, and with the mayor's direction, that they only have the capacity to spend about $300,000 on the technical assistance side of the ledger from the microloan funds, and that they have other funds that they can access. And that they need, in order to move forward with the microloans and also move forward on the technical assistance, they need to have the attached direction, which authorizes them to spend $300,000 on technical assistance programs to take down the federal money. That would also enable to free up them to continue their microloan program with the applications that are already in process. And that's why I put this forward, and that's why it has a Rule 23 urgency, and that's why I'm going to ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and vote on the findings now, Madam Clerk.
Blumenfield.
Aye.
Bonin. Bonin.
Aye.
Buscaino.
Buscaino, aye.
Cedillo.
Aye.
Harris Dawson. Weisar.
Yes.
Koretz.
Yes.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Rue.
Aye.
Wesson.
Wesson, aye.
15 ayes, the findings are adopted.
Okay, let's move on to special 3. Madam Clerk.
And special 3 is a verbal motion that would need to be articulated.
Mr. Koretz, did you want to make your verbal motion on special 3? Mr. Koretz?
Yes, I was trying to unmute myself. So, so I just read the moving clauses?
So if you summarize the findings and then actually read out the moving clauses, please.
The findings are that I received dozens of calls, particularly over this past weekend and on Monday, from people who were objecting to the fact that we were doing ongoing construction of luxury housing in their neighborhoods and causing noise and vibration from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. And since they're there all day, they were asking for relief. As sort of a compromise between what people were asking and what I thought was reasonable, I asked that we change the hours of construction in residential areas from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And on Saturdays or national holidays from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. to 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. The overwhelming majority of complaints came after the period in which we would be able to file in time for the agenda. I also would point out that this was intended to apply to construction sites, not to DWP or Public Works and Street Services or to Metro, not government infrastructure projects, but construction projects in residential neighborhoods. And so
anything else, Mr. City Attorney?
now I will read the moving clauses.
moving clause?
I therefore move.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Your moving clauses, sir?
I therefore move that the council determine, as provided in section 54954.2(b)(2) of the Government Code, and pursuant to Rule 23 of the Rules of the City Council, that there's a need to take immediate action on this matter, and the need for action came to the attention of the city subsequent to the posting of the agenda for today's council meeting. I further move that the council request the city attorney, with the assistance of the Department of Building and Safety, to prepare and present an ordinance to modify/restrict by an additional 2 hours Monday through Friday and 1 hour on Saturdays, as denoted in the text of this motion, the construction/demolition hours as permitted by the Municipal Code, Section 40.41, parentheses, noise due to construction and excavation work when prohibited, in residential and multi-residential zones, and in the public right-of-way abutting residential and multi-residential zones during the duration of the COVID-19 crisis.
Okay, Mr. Blumenfield, would you like to speak on this?
Yeah, I very much appreciate what Mr. Koretz is trying to do, and I want to make sure we do everything we can to make life comfortable for our residents. And I am very concerned about a lot of the construction sites not practicing social distancing and not necessarily in doing things that are not essential. And we need to be very focused on that. And the mayor had an additional order about that. But I'm concerned about this being a Rule 23 because I'd like to know, rather than take immediate action, I don't know what the consequences of this action will be to a whole range of projects and the economic consequences of this. And while I might be willing to support it, immediate action seems too rash. And I'd like to get a report back or something, or at least have a chance to hear from labor and from the construction industry and from other folks to see what would be the consequences of this. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, but I just think it's too much to rush on a Rule 23. So I'm gonna ask for a no vote on the Rule 23.
Okay, Mr. Cedillo?
And excuse me, Madam President, before any other speakers, this was a verbal motion from Mr. Koretz, so we would need a seconder on this. Our understanding is that Mr. Weezer is a seconder. Could we please have verbal confirmation of that?
Mr. Weezer, can you confirm that you've seconded this verbal motion by Mr. Koretz?
Yes, I second the motion.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cedillo?
Madam Chair, I echo the concerns raised by Mr. Blumenfield. In addition, I would like to raise the concern that this not have an adverse impact on any development or building of affordable housing. That work must continue during this time period. I don't need to echo all the concerns we've heard raised on this issue for the city. And I want to make sure that this has no adverse impact in that area. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Lee?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to echo the concerns of my past two colleagues. The same thing is that I might be inclined to vote for this, but as a Rule 23, I think we need to take a step back and make sure that, the hours that we're limiting to don't greatly affect them. There are contracts in place. There's a whole bunch of different things that companies would have to do. So I would even, think that a 7 to 5, would be more, amenable than moving it from a 9 to a 9 p.m. But I honestly don't know. I think we need to talk to different people that this is going to affect. And we don't want to hurt the economy any more than it's being hurt right now. So I, along with my past two colleagues, urge a no vote on Rule 23.
Okay, thank you. Mr. O'Farrell? No, we can't hear Mr. O'Farrell. Hold on for just
Thank you, Madam President. I was just now able to unmute, but thank you. To some of the points that were just made by our colleagues, I have the Path of Villas, which is a 100% permanent supportive housing project that is beginning to wrap up their construction. And within a couple of months, we could actually have 187 people who are currently experiencing homelessness move in. This will impact that construction site greatly. They'll lose 10 hours a week and then 2 hours every weekend. That's 12 hours of construction time, which will definitely delay the project. As of now, I would have no exact time frame of how much it would cause a delay. But to Mr. Cedillo's point, I think it's really important that these priority projects that involve the construction of permanent supportive housing and affordable housing, covenanted affordable housing, that we take great consideration in terms of the impacts that something like this would bring. And I think that that should be looked at and seriously considered for the reasons I just stated. Thank you.
Mr. Bonin?
Thank you, Madam President. As you know, Mr. Koretz and I have districts with similar sentiments on a lot of issues. And so I'd be willing to support the Rule 23 today. I've heard from folks who have been making the same complaints about the early noise while they're home. At the same time, I've also heard from a lot of folks who are saying, let's get everything done possibly during this downtime so it's not impactful on traffic later. So in respect to Mr. Cedillo and Mr. O'Farrell's point, one thing that other jurisdictions have done that I would certainly be willing to support if Mr. Koretz were, is to exempt from Mr. Koretz's motion infrastructure, hospitals, affordable, and homeless housing, all of which have been exempted in other jurisdictions from construction bans. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Price?
Sympathetic to the issues raised by Councilman Koretz, but I am concerned about the impact on affordable housing projects, homeless housing projects in my district. And so I would agree with my colleagues who'd like to exempt that out as we move forward so that those projects can move forward. I just think we have to achieve some balance. It is an opportunity for us to make some catch up on these projects that we're working on that are going to have definite impacts. And so I don't want to slow them down at all. If we can exempt homeless, infrastructure, affordable housing projects, I'd be supportive. Otherwise, I would be unwilling to support the motion as proposed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Price. Mr. Koretz, back to you.
Yes, as soon as some of these things were mentioned, I would have been happy to jump in and agree, particularly on the items that were not yet included, HHH projects, affordable housing, any homeless projects, and hospital-related. I would be happy to add to the categories that aren't included because it literally is focused on building of market rate housing in residential neighborhoods and the impact that it has. I'm also perfectly willing to take off the Rule 23 so people are able to have conversations about their concerns. I'm going to guess that ultimately it comes back, and other than these changes to exempt some additional categories that I did notably miss, I think it'll probably pass as it is, but happy to allow everyone to have those conversations. So I would remove the Rule 23, and I would add the projects that we've specified, homeless projects, affordable housing, and hospital projects as exempt.
Okay, Mr. Koretz, without objection, I'm going to go ahead and move that this just becomes a regular motion and goes through its process.
And yes, that's
all right.
And sorry, the city attorney, may I ask? So, are we to take your further exemptions, Mr. Koretz, as an amendment to your motion?
Yes.
He's with.
Okay, and in that case, we do need a second on that. I think it may have been Mr. Bonin, but is that correct, Mr. Bonin?
Yes, I'll be happy to second.
Thanks. Since we're doing this orally, I just need to make it very clear.
All right, so we'll just go ahead and turn this into a regular motion. Thank you. Mr. Krikorian, would you like to, I saw you on the queue. Would you like to speak on this?
Thank you very much, Madam President. I think Mr. Kretz already addressed what I wanted to say, but I do appreciate his advancing this motion because I think for many of us, this has been something we've heard from our constituents, and I think it's a good idea. But at the same time, the comments that all of our other colleagues have made about the Rule 23 aspect of it is a reminder, I think, to each of us that in an extremely complicated city with an extremely complicated economy, with 4 million people in all different kinds of neighborhoods, with different aspects of our economy impacted by the actions that we take, I think it's really important that even in a time of emergency like this, we're mindful of being able to include input from all parts of this city before we act precipitously on things that can impact things in ways that we don't fully understand or anticipate when we act on an emergency basis. So Rule 23 is an important tool for us to have during a time of crisis, but I think this is an example of a good reminder to all of us that sometimes things that seem like common sense solutions might very well turn out to be have very significant adverse ramifications in our very complicated economy if we don't think about these things thoroughly, carefully, and draw the input of the public as well. So I want to thank Mr. Kretz for bringing the motion. I also want to thank him for withdrawing the Rule 23 aspect of it. I'm looking forward to being able to support this when it comes back.
All right, thank you, Mr. Krikorian. Members, I'm going to go ahead and open up to public comment for folks to speak on Special 1 and Special 2 only. Speaker, are you there? Speaker, are you there?
If we don't think about these things thoroughly, carefully, and draw the input of the public as well.
Speaker, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, can you please lower your volume on your device because you're getting a lot of feedback. You're speaking on Special 1 and Special 2.
Yes, thank you, you fat ugly fucking cunt, for letting me speak. I thoroughly support these special motions. I like special motions, especially when you break state and federal law like Mr. Fobble's telling you to do. Continue the good work you're doing so not one of you goes to prison, 15 of you go to prison. I would just like to say I will give a letter of recommendation for house arrest to Gil Cedillo and the Honorable Jose Weaver.
So would you please stick to Special 1 and 2, Speaker?
Okay, he's not speaking on the topic. Let's move on to the next speaker. Next speaker, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Can you state your name? You're speaking on Special 1 and Special 2.
Special 1, Councilman Bonner's motion.
Okay.
My name is Brian Averill. I'm a member of the Venice Neighborhood Council. I'd like to fully support this motion. This building has been a nuisance for a very long time. It's not a secret. There were stories in the LA Times and on NPR's All Things Considered this week. There are senior citizens living in this building. There are 30 to 40 young people checking in and out every night, partying and putting people in grave danger. This is not okay. And not only are we putting the tenants here at risk, we're putting the entire community at risk in a building that's already illegally operating. Please shut this down. Thank you, council members.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker. Speaker, are you there?
Hello?
Hello, you're speaking on Special 1 and Special 2.
Oh, hi, yes. Sorry, there's a lag. My name is Virginia Jackson Reed, and I'm speaking on Special 2.
Go ahead.
I agree with all of the, sorry, I'm going to remove my headphones because there's a delay. I'm speaking on Special 2. I just want to comment. I do believe that we need to look at the broader implications for affordable housing and for also infrastructure projects, but I also just believe, as someone else had raised, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 9 p.m. is just simply too late at night. If we're trying to introduce a motion that would address nuisance from construction noise at a time where people are getting ready to go to sleep, that's not going to address the problem. Someone else had mentioned maybe 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. or looking at different times, but frankly, I think that the time frame also needs to come under consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Because there's a delay.
Next speaker, are you there?
Yes, hello.
Hello, I need you to lower the volume on your device because we're getting a lot of feedback.
Okay, is it
what
better now?
Yes, you're speaking on item Special 1 and Special 2.
Yes, my name is Sanjia, and I wanted to point out, just in case you're not aware, that there's a lot of empty units, a lot of empty hotels in the city, especially right now. And if you actually cared about the health and well-being of not just the homeless people, but of all of us, because the health of our houseless relatives affects the health of everyone else. If you actually cared about it, you would.
Ma'am, I need you to speak on Special 1 and Special 2 that's before us.
Yes, it is about it. Because you're talking about amendments to allow development to continue with the excuse that this will be for affordable housing.
So I think
but if you actually cared about people having housing, there are many things that you could do right now. You could put people
I think
in
you're
the
a bit
hotels
confused. You're speaking about Special 3, which actually was not introduced as a Rule 23. We're just talking about Mr. Bonin's Special 1 about the apartment complex in Venice, and Mr. Blumenfield's Special 2 about funding for the Economic Development Department.
could do, and you just keep refusing to address them. And you are even refusing to hold meetings now. So, yeah, you need to reinstate regular meetings ASAP and address these issues.
Thank you very much. Okay, next speaker, are you there? Next speaker, are you there? Okay, moving on to the last speaker. Speaker, are you there? Speaker, are you there? Okay, that concludes public comment for Special 1 and Special 2. Madam Clerk, why don't we go ahead and call the roll on both items? We can take them together.
Yes.
Call the roll.
This vote will be for Special 1 and Special 2 together. Blumenfield. Blumenfield. Blumenfield.
Mr. Bloomfield, I think you're mic'd, or you're muted.
I'll try it again. Bloomfield, aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Buscaino, aye.
Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Harris Dawson.
I like Joe. He's like coming right out of this thing. He's like,
Weezer. Weezer.
No. Yes.
Koretz.
Aye.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Rodriguez. Rue.
Yes.
Wesson.
Wesson, aye.
15 ayes, these two pass.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Where are we now?
Madam President, if I may, there have been some verbal motions introduced for posting and referring.
Okay, go ahead, read them into the record.
Motion number 1 is a motion from Councilmember Krikorian, and we understand Councilmember Martinez, you would like to second?
That is correct.
And this is requesting the city attorney with the assistance of the chief procurement officer to prepare an ordinance so that during times of declared emergency and when the council, board, and commission meetings have been limited, then the city council may, through adoption of a resolution, delegate the contract approval authorities of boards and commissions to the general managers of departments. And this will be referred to the Budget and Finance Committee.
Okay, very well. What's next?
Second motion introduced by Councilmember Krikorian, and we understand Councilmember Martinez, you would like to second.
Correct.
And this is a request for the city attorney and the assistance, with the assistance of the chief procurement officer, to prepare and present an ordinance so that times of declared local and state emergencies, the city council may authorize the general managers of departments and bureaus to sign emergency contract extensions. That will also be referred to the Budget Committee, Budget and Finance. The third motion introduced by Councilmember Koretz is an instruction to the city attorney to prepare an ordinance prohibiting the sale of living animals for human consumption in any context in Los Angeles. We understand Councilmember Blumenfield would like to second this motion. Can you please confirm, Councilmember Blumenfield?
Yes, second.
Thank you. This motion will be referred to the Health, Education, Neighborhoods, Parks, and River Committee.
Okay, next.
The final motion was introduced by Councilmember Koretz, and this is to extend the deadline for a tenant to notify his or her landlord of an intended non-payment of rent for April 2020 through April 17th, and to also amend the ordinance to include penalties for landlords who violate provisions of the ordinance's regulations regarding repayment of rent. We understand that Councilmember Wesson would like to second this motion. Can you please confirm, Councilmember Wesson?
Yes.
And council also has additional motions for posting and referred.
Okay, posted and referred.
The desk is clear.
The desk is cleared. Members, are there any announcements? If not, I'd like to ask Mr. Koretz if he's asked to make an adjourning motion. There are no announcements. Mr. Koretz, go ahead.
I actually have a motion that was not included among the list of motions.
Is this related to the masks?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Apologies. We have one additional motion, which will be a, excuse me.
Okay, Mr. Koretz, do you want to go ahead and make your verbal motion, sir, at this time?
Yes. It's short, so I'll read the whole thing. Since the start of the COVID-19 outbreak, the World Health Organization has recommended that face masks only be worn by those showing symptoms or for healthcare providers caring for them. This recommendation may have been due to a worldwide shortage of face masks for doctors and nurses. Yet COVID-19 carriers can be infectious without being symptomatic. Some European countries now required face masks, including the Czech Republic and Slovakia. And the World Health Organization is reconsidering its stance as community spread may be limited to the wearing of masks. Mayor Garcetti has highly recommended wearing a mask in public, and as homemade masks continue to proliferate, that recommendation should be increased to a requirement in order to both save lives and flatten the curve. I therefore move that the City Council determine as provided in Government Code Section 25454.2, parentheses B, parentheses 2, and pursuant to Rule 23 of the Rules of the City Council, that there is a need to take immediate action on this matter, and that the need for acting came to the attention of the city subsequent to the posting of the agenda for today's council meeting. And I therefore move that the City Council request that the City Attorney be requested to draft an ordinance requiring that during the COVID-19 quarantine emergency situation, masks be required to be worn fully across the mouth and nose of any person leaving their home. Masks may be homemade. And I would withdraw the last sentence of what was turned in, so that would end with masks may be homemade.
So just to be clear, you've now introduced a Rule 23, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Do you have a second for this? Anybody going to second this? Raise your hand, please, so I can tell. Mr. Weezar is going to second it. The attorney, do you want to speak to the findings? No? So let's go ahead and vote on those findings.
Can I speak to the findings?
Go ahead.
This came to our attention after the time in which the meeting was noticed, because there were media reports of the success that the Czech Republic and Slovakia had by requiring everyone to leave their home with at least a homemade mask. They found that compared to the spread in the rest of the European countries, that there was only 1/3 the level of spread once this was implemented. So clearly saving thousands of lives there, dramatically reducing the curve. And with us coming to the point where we expect highest rates of spread, immediate implementation of this could absolutely flatten the curve or better. So literally, thousands of lives could be saved in Los Angeles, and it merits consideration as a Rule 23 because these media reports only surfaced very recently.
All right, Mr. Aru, did you want to speak to this?
We're going to tell people we told them it's a guidance, not mandatory.
We can't hear you. Go ahead.
Can I ask for some clarifying questions now, or do we have to vote on the findings first?
Findings. No, it's been.
Yeah, go ahead. Ask your question.
Okay. So my question is, was there an enforcement mechanism associated with this at all? Because I know the mayor already has a recommendation that everyone wear masks. So I wanted to know if this motion would have an actual mechanism, a requirement, and if it does, what would be the enforcement mechanism, or would there be some misdemeanor or anything? I don't know if it's more of a city attorney question.
It's not, because we just took out the enforcement mechanism at the request of some of our colleagues who were concerned about it. I think in the Czech Republic, I'm actually not aware of what the enforcement mechanism is, but I think it would be largely self-enforcing. So far, we've put out the request to do this voluntarily. Anecdotally, walking my dog, I see about 10% of the people out there wearing masks. So it clearly is not happening as a voluntary request. I believe if it passes as an ordinance, similar to years ago when we passed the ban on smoking in restaurants, we had virtually no enforcement. It was self-enforcing because everyone that saw someone in violation said, hey, you're not allowed to have a cigarette in here, put it out. And I believe the same thing will happen. If it turns out that we have less than the kind of enforced response that we would hope, we can add an enforcement mechanism. But I think just putting this out there as a formal ban on walking outside without a mask will lead to thousands and thousands of people following it, and undoubtedly would save hundreds of lives.
Okay, members, are there any other questions of Mr. Koretz? I'm sorry, Mr. Koretz. Mr. Gakorian?
Thank you, Madam President. Again, kind of consistent with my previous comments about Rule 23, I think this is a complicated issue in which public health professionals around the world have had debates which really haven't come to any kind of consensus until a few days ago. So I really think that asking the city attorney to draft an ordinance like this right now is I would prefer to listen to the public health professionals than city council members and city attorneys on issues like this. I get the importance of it as Mr. Kretz has expressed, and I get the intention behind it. I'm very hesitant to have us wade into political debates and discussions about issues like this. The mayor has executive powers to be able to deal with public health situations, and I just think that we would be better off letting the mayor manage and the Board of Supervisors manage public health issues like this, and letting the people of Los Angeles listen to the advice of public health professionals rather than trying to cobble together some sort of an ordinance, which I don't know how you would define the terms. I don't know how you would enforce it. I don't know what significance it would have beyond what people are already hearing from Johns Hopkins and other people who are talking about this. So I would, if we're going to consider something like this, it should not be a Rule 23. So I'm going to vote against the findings on this.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kokori. Mr. Blumenfield? We can't hear you. Hold on for just a second. Mr. Blumenfield?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I torn on this. I completely understand where Mr. Koretz is coming from and want nothing but the most safe situation. I don't think it hurts to get the city attorney to draft something, but I would want to get a report. I would want to hear from health experts. I'd want the report to deal with a lot of the very complicated questions that are out there. So I guess I could say I could support the Rule 23 in getting them to draft it. But before we were to bring something like this up for actual passage, I'd want to understand the terms. I'd want to hear from health experts, not just be rash about that. So in as much as this is not a direction to enforce, but it is, or a direction to do it, it's just to get them to draft something up. I guess I can support it, but I want to be real clear that we need more information.
Mr. Bonin? Mr. Bonin, are you there?
There we go. Sorry about that. I think the clerk and I kept hitting the unmute button repeatedly and canceling each other out. Thanks everybody for the comments on this. I do believe this meets the urgency standard, so I'm happy to vote yes on the findings. Although, like Mr. Blumenfield, I really want to see what is in the ordinance and how it's structured. I'm concerned that there are many people in Los Angeles who don't have access to masks. And I'm concerned, I want to make sure there's no enforcement mechanism in there, because I'm concerned it would be applied primarily to people who are unhoused or people who are Black or Latino, and as a lot of ordinances are. So the devil will be in the details, but I'm happy to ask the city attorney to start drafting.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Thank you, Madam President. And thank you, Mr. My concerns really lie in where there are some municipalities that have adopted some pretty aggressive citations. And I think it's really worth our having a deeper conversation about this because of the enforcement mechanisms and or the lack thereof, quite frankly. But moreover, what I think is most important about this conversation is that, you know, the mayor's already issued the orders and the availability of this based on CDC findings. And so I feel like this doesn't necessarily merit a Rule 23 conversation, given that it's something that's already being addressed, that we're encouraging people to do it, and to not have a fully vetted conversation around enforcement and what that actually looks like. And given what as I mentioned, some of the other municipalities have adopted, which I find pretty aggressive, I think it would be far more responsible for us to have to just go with what the mayor's orders have been with respect to wearing face masks and perhaps engaging in this conversation in a different time.
Okay, Mr. Lee? Mr. Lee, go ahead.
No, I'm good. I'm good. My thoughts were already expressed. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Koretz?
Yes, if I could just add a couple things. One, access, I think, is kind of a silly argument, especially since we removed the enforcement mechanism. If you're not the one wearing the mask because you, quote, don't have access to a rag and to rubber bands like I have right now, everybody has some cloth in their home. There are all kinds of different ways to do this. So I think access is silly, but assuming you weren't the one that wore the mask because you didn't have access, and most people were, you're benefiting anyway. You're the one being protected. By wearing it, you're protecting other people. So I don't see the downside because someone can't find a rag and a couple of rubber bands. I don't think there's anybody that doesn't have that. Even homeless people all have rags in their possessions. So I think that's kind of a silly argument. And the idea that it's unproven. I mean, the difference between European countries that have this and don't is this motion. European countries that say, hey, you really should be wearing masks, those are the ones that are having the kind of spread like us. The ones that are saying, no, everybody has to have a mask and it's visible whether you're in violation, those are ones that are having the drop. And unlike construction and other items where you could have negative repercussions, if it's wrong and we don't have a 1/3 drop in the spread of this virus, and it's only a 20% drop because we implemented this, well, there isn't a negative that you can anticipate. You can only anticipate how positive this is. So do we save 5,000 lives because we did this, or do we only save 1,000 lives? There's no way it's going to cost any lives. It might tick off a few people, but there's no downside. And especially the CDC has turned on a dime when they originally said, oh, nobody needs masks. It's partly because they're driven politically. I think it's harder for them to be objective. We all know they were wrong, and we all know they knew better, but they just didn't put it out there. I think we're in a point that Eric Garcetti often talks about as our mayor, that when it's uncomfortable, that's the time to do it. When you wait till it's comfortable and it's become a consensus, you miss the opportunity. I think here we have the opportunity to take it right now. I suspect that if we pass this motion, the mayor will probably implement it before we get anywhere near having an ordinance. But I think us taking the leadership is what will drive that. And I ask you for an aye vote on the Rule 23, and I ask you for an aye vote on the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. I just, I hear what you're saying, but I concur with trying to get our health experts to weigh in on this debate. There's so much that's being said over the last weekend in terms of even poor people not having access to testing. I would hate for this to only penalize or give citations to people who can't have access to masks. And so I'm very, very concerned about who this would actually affect. I get the concern. I'm certainly sympathetic, and I want people to wear, whatever mask they can find. But I just don't want it to negatively impact a certain community in our city. So I'm going to go ahead and suggest not to support the findings yet until we get further instructions from our Department of Public Health, who I think we need to do a better job of working with and getting better clarification about how to move forward with these types of recommendations if we want to make them mandatory. Is there any other member that'd like to speak on this issue? Mr. Koretz, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to point out once again that we removed the enforcement mechanism from this motion. So right now, that piece of that is not dealt with yet. If we decide to put in an enforcement recommendation and penalties, we can do that later. Right now, this does not have that called out at all.
Mr. Harris-Dawson.
wanted clarification from the city attorney. If we were to make such a motion today, is a penalty implied? Because I hear Mr. Koretz insisting that there is no penalty, sanction, or enforcement, but I hear members being concerned about it. And so I just want to make sure, one way or the other, if we pass a motion, does that provide an opportunity for anyone in our government to decide to have some type of citation or enforcement of this, even though that's not the intention of the motion maker?
Well, Mr. Koretz has stated clearly in his motion that there will be no penalty attached. So actually, we could draft the ordinance so that it's clear that no penalty attaches to it.
Okay, Mr. Cedillo? Mr. Cedillo?
Yes, Madam Chair, let me echo your comments. I agree with you. I think it's a little more complicated than has been stated. I sincerely appreciate the health concerns laid out, but I want to make sure that we don't have other unintended consequences in the circumstance as it relates to communities of color, particularly youth. And so I think we might as well take a second in this very complicated time period is to think about this a little bit more. So I'd be voting with you.
Mr. Harris Dawson?
So if there's no enforcement, because I am concerned.
It's not an enforcement question.
Law enforcement, any additional reasons to interact with people because they're poor, because they're young, or even because they're rebellious over an issue like this. So I'm just a little bit puzzled about what the concerns are about enforcement if it's clear now from the city attorney and the motion maker that there is no enforcement. We lose time. We would lose a week agreeing on something that I haven't heard anybody in the health community disagree with. I've heard people say it's more important or less important. I've heard not a single health expert say wearing a mask is not a good idea or it's a mistake. Just haven't heard it. So I'm just a little bit concerned about what we're responding to.
Yeah, Mr. Koretz, I have a question for you. So if you're withdrawing the enforcement piece of this, then how is this any different than what we have in place that the mayor issued?
If the mayor issued a requirement that all people wear masks, I think it would have a different response. As I've said before, in Europe, they all have a request that people voluntarily wear masks. Where they've mandated it, the spread has dropped dramatically. And so the question is, if it only gets us to go from 10% of the people wearing masks to 50% instead of 100%, and we don't have the drop in spread that Czechoslovakia or Czech Republic has, but only half that, would that not be worth it? Of course it would. There is no downside to this. There's only an upside. It's just a question of how much of an upside. And as a practical matter, the amount of enforcement, as I said, we did on the smoking issue in restaurants. We didn't have the smoking police out there as people worried about. It was completely self-enforcing because everyone's neighbors would tell them to knock it off. And I believe that'll be the same thing here. The one thing that was mentioned a few times, which I'm happy to ask for, is that we come back with a report on where various health entities are on their assessments of this. But other than that, by delaying this, we can only wind up saving fewer lives and having more spread. There's no negative to it. We're not going to have more spread by having more masks. So I don't see the downside. We're asking for a downside. We're looking for a downside. It's just not there. You either save people's lives, or if it completely didn't work, you wouldn't save any lives. But there's no way that can happen. There has to be a reduction in spread. We all know it today. We just don't know how much. That's the only thing we don't know. How many lives will we save? It could be half of what I'm hoping, but I think it's worth it And I think it'll be hard for anyone to justify a vote against, knowing we will save some people's lives. And the quicker we act, the quicker it happens.
So, Mr. Koretz, if you're requesting for a report, then what's the urgency of making this mandatory?
No, I'm asking for a report to come back on the same day that we have the ordinance.
Mr. City Attorney, did you want to speak to this?
Well, as I understand, the mayor has requested, but I don't believe he's required the wearing of masks yet. So that is different from Mr. Koretz's motion. Of course, the mayor could at any time, under his emergency powers, require the wearing of masks.
Let's go ahead and vote on the findings now, members. Let's go ahead and call the roll.
Blumenfield.
This is for the findings?
This is on the findings.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Buscaino, no.
Cedillo.
No.
Harris Dawson. Mr. Harris Dawson on the findings. Harris Dawson.
Y'all need to unmute him. There you go.
Mr. Harris Dawson on the findings.
Yes.
Weezer.
Yes.
Koretz.
Yes.
Krikorian. Krikorian.
No.
Lee.
No.
Martinez.
No.
O'Farrell. O'Farrell.
No.
Price.
No.
Rodriguez.
No.
Rue.
Yes.
Wesson.
No.
6 ayes and 9 noes. This item, the findings do not pass.
Okay, members, are there any other announcements? If not, I'm going to go ahead and take Mr. Koretz's adjourning motion that he requests. Okay, Mr. Koretz, let's go ahead and before I do that, hold just for just a second. Are there any other items? Okay, Madam Clerk, I will go ahead and refer Mr. Koretz's motion to the Health Education Committee. What's before us now?
That clears the desk.
Okay, Mr. Buscaino, did you want to speak?
I did. Thank you, Madam President. I just want to take an opportunity, and I know I speak on behalf of this body here, before we adjourn, to recognize our city family, those who have stepped in the role of disaster service workers, our first responders, our police and fire emergency service workers, and just pause and recognize and bless them and thank them for stepping into these uncharted moments in our city's history. And just wanted to give them thanks and praise for keeping us safe day in and day out in these pandemic times. So also want to recognize those city residents who've lost their lives in the wake of this crisis and who have suffered a loss because of the pandemic. Want to pray and recognize those loved ones who are suffering at this moment. Thank you, Madam President.
Mr. Buscaino? No other items, Madam Clerk?
Madam President, on referring Mr. Koretz's motion to committee, could we please have a motion on that?
I so move.
And a seconder?
Is there a second? Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you.
What's next?
The desk is clear.
Okay, Mr. Koretz, did you want to make your adjourning motion, sir?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I'd like to adjourn in memory of Dr. Beatrice Solis, beloved sister of our dear friend and colleague Supervisor Hilda Solis. Dr. Solis passed away on Friday, March 20th after a long battle with cancer. Dr. Solis was the Director of Healthy Communities, South Region at the California Endowment. Dr. Solis was responsible for advancing the vision and strategic direction of the Foundation's Building Healthy Communities California Living 2.0 initiative, as well as helping achieve established goals and outcomes through the endowment's philanthropic efforts in Southern California. Her professional experience included service as the Director of Cultural and Linguistic Services for LA Care Health Plan, where she was responsible for developing one of the first departments dedicated to cultural and linguistic issues in a managed care setting. In addition, she was a research associate for the UCLA Center for Health Policy Research and received her master's and doctorate in public health from UCLA School of Public Health. Dr. Solis co-authored numerous articles, books, technical reports, and policy briefs on a variety of health and health-related issues, and was a lecturer trainer to healthcare providers on a variety of topics, including racial and ethnic health disparities, and culturally and linguistically responsible healthcare, among others. Dr. Solis' colleagues at the California Endowment said that BU was the smarter, better part of you that showed how to work hard and understand and anticipate the overt and subtle political dynamics of an institution and a community. She taught you how to act strategically and with a higher purpose focused on the long game. She laughed hard, fought righteously, and dreamed big. B. Solis will be remembered for the beautiful example she set for all of us at the California Endowment, and with so many of our partners in the state, of how to translate love into justice. Our condolences to her sister, Supervisor Hilda Solis, the entire Solis family, and especially Dr. Solis' husband, Mohammed, and her two precious sons, Avrin and Aydin. No services have been announced yet. Due to coronavirus, it may not be possible to have an in-person gathering. The family will share that information when they have it. In lieu of flowers, Dr. Solis asked for donations to be sent to godiscoverylab.com. And she will be sorely missed. May she rest in peace.
Thank you very much, Mr. Koretz. And members, with this meeting, we've cleared the docket for everything that was time sensitive that we were not able to vote on before the emergency declaration was declared. So as we move forward, I hope that our departments have the proper staffing to be able to get our reports done so I can schedule the next council meeting as soon as possible. So with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.